Super excited to have Iida back on the Paddison podcast, and today we're going to learn all about her brand new, spanking, gorgeous cookbook called A Kitchen Fairytale. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me back, Clint.
You must be thrilled because you have put so much work into creating a book, something that very few people do, something that still today in the digital age holds so much weight and credibility. And you've done it. So tell us, how does it feel to have a book?
It feels amazing. I could have gone down the kind of ebook route, and as publishers were turning me down, I just thought, maybe I should just do that. Maybe I'll just go ahead and just publish it on my own and do that. And then I just thought, no, it is a dream of mine to actually do a proper cookbook because I love cooking. I always have loved cooking. So I'm just going to keep plowing on, and I'm going to make this happen. And here it is.
Yes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, she's holding it up now. It's my first impression when you just held it up, it's a very big, substantial book. I mean, this is not something that, you could just knock out quickly. This is a labor of love by any imagination.
Yeah, it is. It is. There are so many, I think there are just so many amazing recipes that you can make with plants, because when people initially hear about someone going plant-based, they go, well, so what do you eat? And I'm just like, this is a fraction, of the things that you can make. So yeah, I just been putting my kind of favorite ones in here, and the ones that helped me heal and that kept the inflammation down in the beginning. So these are kind of, I guess, pretty much my first recipes, and then going on from there.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, let me put this in context for people who may have only just started recently watching these episodes and maybe not familiar with your backstory. Anyone who's interested in great detail of Iida's backstory, we've been through a couple of episodes in the past, and you can just search for her name. That's Iida in our Paddison program /blog section of our website, and you'll find both episodes. Now, the first one, we talked about your inflammatory arthritis. You had quite severe condition, and you were able to get rid of that inflammation and not need medication to do so. And then you've gone from there, and you've started to create a following on Instagram, and you've had over 10,000 people watch your journey, where you've created these amazing, beautiful pictures in your beautiful home and landscape of these foods, which has encouraged you to then, build this kind of reputation as a really stylish photographer and plant chef. And then from there, you've fallen pregnant, which was a dream of yours, and then you were plant-based throughout the pregnancy. And then throughout that whole time, you've worked on creating this book. And so it's all come together now. Now, second podcast was around being plant-based and pregnant, a great episode if people are entering that stage of life. And then now we have the book. So throughout the whole journey here, what was one of the big motivators to create this book? You've had the interest from an audience, so you can tell that there's a passion and an interest from that group. But what was your driving sort of burning desire?
Well, part is that the book is basically split into two sections. So in the beginning, I have included my story. I've included a little bit on where we get our iron, where we get our calcium, all of that, and why oils are not going to be featuring in the book. And then the second part is all these recipes. And the reason I did that is because when I started getting better, when I joined the Paddison program, and I started feeling better, I was still seeing my rheumatologist. I saw her, once or twice. And I remember going into that, the waiting room, and I was sitting there with all these people. The mood in there was just so oomph. People, there is no hope. There is nothing that's going to tell you that, this drug is actually going to work for you, and this is you're going to become able to come off it. That it just made me feel, when I knew that there was a Paddison program that I was following and it was working for me, I just wanted to shout it, from the rooftops and just go, listen up, people. It doesn't have to be like this. But I couldn't obviously do that because I would look like a crazy person. So I thought I'll just I'll come up with another way of doing that, and I'll do it in a way, because I love eating like this, I'll do it in a way that will hopefully inspire other people to want to do it this way, want to heal naturally. And then hopefully, I thought maybe if we can get this book published, maybe even the rheumatologist will be interested in having a copy in her office, and she can just say, listen, you can go for the drugs, you can be on your merry way, or you can potentially have a little read about this, see what the Paddison program is about, and see that this is kind of the future that lies ahead of you if you decide to do that. So I think that was definitely my greatest motivator. I also had a lot of friends and family who wanted to cook things for me when I came over and who did not quite know what to make. They tend to refer to it as Iida-friendly food. And so I thought, okay, fine, well, I'll collect them all. That's actually how it really started as well. I just wrote down a few things that, my mother-in-law could make, or my mom and dad, or something. And then they could follow these recipes and make them whenever I came over. And I had friends also who tried the food when they came to my place and really loved it and felt energized and didn't feel bloated and thought it was absolutely delicious. And they started asking me for recipes. So I just thought, okay, well, if I collect them all in one place, it'll be so much easier than having them in, on little notes over there or a book over there where I still can't find them. So yeah, I just started collecting everything, and the photography. I love taking photos, and I love making food look beautiful and inviting as well, so that people will know that it's not just kind of salad leaves and things. And that married up with the recipes, it just started becoming a book. And I guess that's how it all came about.
Fabulous. Well, in terms of your marketing, or your one-liner about the book, would you kind of describe it as oil-free, delicious, simple to make recipes for everyone? What would be your variation on that? And we'll just get you to watch that here on the microphone as well.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. I think what we ended up putting on the book is healing with food and delicious recipes for everyone.
Oh, good.
I think that's quite a good one. It is a no oil, plant-based whole food cookbook. There are some foods that are not completely whole foods. For example, I've got gluten-free flour in a few of the recipes, which I know is obviously a processed food. So there are a couple of those in there.
Have you got pasta? Sorry, pasta?
Pasta, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
There is, so I do a lot of brown rice pasta. There is corn pasta. I know that corn is supposed to create inflammation, according to some people. What I've done is I've just gone with the recipes that actually seem to work for me during this incredibly crucial, journey of healing the gut.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the benefit of it. If you've got some pastas that are brown rice based, some that are corn based, and you're going to ask 10 different people and someone's going to say that they have a little more problem with corn than brown rice and vice versa. In fact, I'd argue that probably statistically a few more would have problem with corn. But, look, it sounds like you've covered for everyone's particular individual sensitivities, and that's sensational. And also let's just, remind everyone that the oil-free is crucial. The oil-free is not just for people with autoimmune diseases, but if we listen to Dr. Cadwell Esselstyn and Dr. McDougall and Dr. Dean Ornish and the real experts who've spent their entire lives studying the human body and the ultimate path to wellness and health, we don't have these oils in our history, and the oils should not be consumed. If we're talking about ultimate health, and certainly for inflammatory arthritis, it is the absolute kindling on the fire. So we must avoid oils. So your book officially is the sort of I would say almost like phase 6 of the Paddison program. This is like you work your way through and then you go and get out this recipe book, and you can then follow this and enjoy your life and live happily ever after. I mean, that's really how it dovetails onto the back of what I do. And so it's super exciting. You talked about the vision for the book with it being in a rheumatologist's office. I think that is sensational. And, you know, when I eventually publish my book, they can sit side by side and they can read
that would be amazing.
Follow that and then eat like that. And then everyone's really happy. Can we talk about the early challenges with working on the book? I mean, I'm finding as I write my book, which is coming along, I was speaking to my business coach today and he said that, you know, told him it's about 85% done, which feels good.
Oh, amazing.
You know, this thing's been going for years. What were the early challenges that you faced? I know that your little one takes up a lot of time and saps your energy. What other things were make it hard to get this going along?
Well, in the beginning, getting the recipes in, taking the photos, all of that was such smooth sailing. Then I got to the stage where I thought, okay, well, if this is going to be published, I need to properly research all of the things that anyone who's vegan or plant-based get the questions of, are you sure you're covering all your bases? So researching that and getting into, the nitty-gritty bits of kind of iron and where do you actually get it? And so I think that was one of the challenges, and getting some good sources to that. Fortunately, there is a fair bit of research online that you can look up, and I would always recommend that people do have a look at these things themselves, because you can't really convince someone to change. I think it needs to come from inside, and someone needs to be ready. And I think it's very important to have read up about this and not to be worried about missing out on things like calcium, which we have been so indoctrinated to think that it comes, pretty much only from dairy, when that's not at all the case. So I think that was kind of the next step of getting all the most important questions answered. And then when I was I started sending it out to various publishers to see if someone wanted to publish it. And I was turned down numerous times. I mean, people and the replies were spectacular. People would say, "Oh, we already have a vegetarian cookbook in our in our collection." And I just thought, oh gee, you probably haven't even read my email properly, because it's not a vegetarian cookbook. It's not even like a vegan cookbook the way we know vegan cookbooks. So that was kind of the next challenge. Then I did meet my publisher now from Hammersmith Health Books, and she asked all the right questions. So she wanted to know about the oils, because they obviously she knows a lot about health and things. So she was asking all the right questions, and we had a really interesting conversation via email. We met up, and then she decided to take it on board.
Yeah.
And sent through the contract, and 3 days later, I had my baby. So I can't even remember if I managed to sign it before it happened. So I had to obviously refocus a little bit for a while. But a lot of the work that was done was with the baby in a baby carrier, keeping him as close as possible, to kind of trying to get him to sleep, and to get a few of the things done on the book, sitting in the car while he's sleeping in his car seat, getting a few more things done, all the classic newborn baby things. Yeah. And then we just continued on, kind of picked it up again, I guess, when he was he was probably 3 months. I did very small bits, kind of in little incremental parts, throughout the past. Well, it's been over a year. He's almost 15 months now. So just little bits and bobs through this whole time, and then redesigning it, or getting a little bit of work from one of the graphic designers. But yeah, mainly it looks pretty much the same as it did when I sent it into them.
Yeah. Wow. Well done. I mean, getting anything done, even brushing your teeth when you got a newborn baby, is difficult.
I know.
Let alone publish a book.
Right, exactly. I can't recommend it to anyone. If you're going to write a book, don't have a baby at the same time.
What has the publishing process looked like? I mean, tell us. I mean, and just give us also a a bit of an idea of what typically happens, because most people won't have published a book who are listening to this. And so, I mean, what does it look like? I mean, is there a factory somewhere that this publishing company print off books and then they ship them all around the world? I mean, how does it look like for a kitchen fairy tale?
That is what it looks like. It is printed. It's printed abroad. It's printed in Poland, and they do have a factory there, which made this whole thing happen. And I'll show you a couple of photos.
Yeah.
There we go. And and it was sent. Yeah, it's sent over from there, which is what is happening at the moment. Obviously, I had it on my computer. It lived in a program called InDesign, which I had to learn because I didn't know how to work InDesign. So I started kind of figuring it out. And I guess if you know Microsoft Office somewhat, you can pretty much figure out these things. But then they did get a graphic designer on the case as well, and she was kind of sending me a few notes on what I could change. And I had no idea of how to do that, because I had picked up these things from YouTube tutorials and things. So it was a big process to also learn to do that. And then we kind of looked through everything. My publisher was proofreading it. I was proofreading it because, you have to get everything right. You have to get make sure that you have included ginger in the ingredients as well as in the method.
Yeah, and the picture.
Yeah. Exactly, which is not something that you will be focused on when you have a little baby kind of on the side. So I think that was a very big challenge to get someone to proofread it and double check. And in order to get all the recipes to make sure that these were going to be working for other people as well, I actually have a wonderful kind of baby mama group. There were eight couple of us, and we would meet up pretty much once a week, all the ladies with the babies, and then people would bring some food. Everybody would bring a dish basically. And in the beginning, maybe I could have maybe 20% of the food, and in the end, everything was Iida friendly, because everybody started cooking like this. I mean, these girls are just, they're just family. They have been so amazing, and I didn't know them until basically pretty much when we were about to have the baby.
Wow, that's so fortunate. Yeah, we haven't been as lucky with, we've moved obviously twice with our kids to the States, back again. And we haven't been as fortunate meeting like soulmate kind of other parents. We've had some friends develop, but, when I hear about you and your, band of 8, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. No, they've been so incredible, and they have been testing these things, and I've been saying, okay, well, you know what, guys, I have like 2 chocolate brownies sitting around in the house. I need someone to eat them. Can you guys come over tomorrow and we'll have the baby date here? Or would someone be able to test my lentil ragu? I need to know if it has enough, if there is too much garlic in it or something. And then I've just sent over a picture and the recipe. And then the girls have texted back in the evening and said, my husband loved it too. He doesn't even eat vegetables, kind of thing. Which it has been an amazing thing, because there's so many people who just have never they don't think they've ever had a vegan meal, and now they have at least once a week they go fully vegan, or as one of my friends says, fully a kitchen fairy tale, because she only goes by my recipes at the moment, which is just absolutely incredible, and I'm so grateful for all that help. It's been quite something.
Yeah, that's fantastic. They really have been your sounding board on all of this, which is lovely.
Absolutely wonderful. So that was one part of it, getting people to test the recipes for me and make sure that they actually work. So that was quite crucial. And then we just had it printed. It was sent off to the printers a couple of weeks ago, and the very first what's called copies came around last week. I think I received this on Friday, and it's pretty crazy to kind of think that it's actually finally here, because it has been such a long process.
Well, it just shows how you can convert, mental thoughts into physical matter. I mean,
exactly.
this was a thought in your mind at some point a few years back, just a thought, a picture in your head, and here it is in a physical format. And I just love sort of seeing that and just shows what can be created by the human mind. And it's I love that stuff. What do you think that people who buy this book, and I encourage everyone who's doing our program to get a copy of this book, because if there's an area of our program that does not score as highly as the other parts, it's the recipes to go to once you do feel a lot better, and this fills that gap wonderfully. So, what do you think people will be most pleased about who are picking up this book for the first time?
Well, I think one of the things too that I thought about very much was on the Paddison program. Obviously, you will be testing and you'll be seeing what works for you. So it's super individual as to what you can and cannot have, and it'll keep being like that for some people. For years, someone can't have tomatoes still. So I think that was one of the challenges to see that the book would be written and the recipes would be designed in a way that will make you be able to exclude the things that you can't have. So for some people, you can follow the recipes exactly as they are. Some people might need to exchange carrots for strips of butternut squash or something. Go to the things that will work for you. So if you're reacting to something, then at least just have it as like a little basic inspirational book, and then just swap some ingredients. I think that's really important to keep in mind. And even when it comes to baking, so my birthday was 4 months after I joined the Paddison program, and I really, really wanted to have a cake of some kind, but I knew I couldn't. But I did know that I could have oats and I could have berries and things. So I came up with this recipe of muffins, basically like blueberry muffins, and they worked super well. And people had them on my birthday, and they were so delicious. So that was one of my inspirations to wanting to also have like a dessert section in there, so that you don't have to feel like you're missing out if there is a big party or something. But they are so much more humble, and you can actually. I had to do this in the beginning. I had to make them without the baking powder or the baking soda, so they might become slightly more dense, but they'll still taste absolutely delicious. And even people who don't eat like this, who are as far removed from a plant-based diet as possible, have just been devouring, for example, the banana bread. I think I made that like so many times the first year. It was just such a crowd pleaser. And you can add yummy things to it if you want to add, drizzle it with maple syrup, or if you want to have it with fruit and berries on the side or something. You can just take it wherever you want. So I think
that's wonderful. Okay, so let's go into this a little bit further. Talk about a couple of more recipes just to whet the appetite a bit more. So the oat muffins and blueberries, very original. And then you've mentioned also your banana bread. Again, sounds absolutely delicious. Did you want to pick a couple of recipes that you'd also like to talk about, maybe some main meals from the book? Yeah.
The funny thing is that one of my absolute favorite ones is, well, see if you guys can see that. It's a pasta with courgette boats.
I was going to let you say that, and I'm glad I did.
Were you able to see that? Yeah, so this recipe came about because I was on a cruise ship, which I'm sure you know a fair bit about, between Sweden and Finland with my family. I think it was about 2.5 years ago, maybe. And I actually called them ahead and I said, "Oh, will you guys have anything?" And they have some amazing restaurants there. So they said, "Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Just tell your waitress," which is often a bit of a red flag. Well, a bit of a warning sign, because if they don't prepare, they quite often have already kind of prepped the sauces and things, and there will be oils in them. So I just thought, oh dear, okay, well, so I think I brought rice and fruits or veggies or something, which was in our little cabin. But I thought we'll give it a go. I went to the restaurant and I ordered anything you can make for vegan, no oils. And they made something similar to this. And I had never had oven roasted courgettes, where you kind of scoop out the inside and mix it in with other veggies. So I took that on board. and went home and kind of developed it a little bit further. And having those new flavors, because it has olives as well, which for me was a good way of putting on a little bit more weight, as I was to you in the beginning. I just always made sure I had it with leafy greens to help break it down. But yeah, this one just became so incredible because you can have it with pasta, or you can have it with rice, or you can have them, on their own, even though I don't find that veggies only fill me up for a very long time at all. Yeah, so that's definitely one of my favorites. And I think pasta in general, I have always, absolutely loved pasta. So I've just come up with a fair few recipes. And I think the creamy cashew cheese sauce, fake cheese, is also one of my favorites, because not only can you make like a carbonara with that, where you might fry some mushrooms on the side with tamari sauce or something, or some oven roasted cocktail tomatoes or something. But you can also use the sauce when you make your mashed potatoes to make like a richer, just a richer version of it. Yeah.
Gosh, mashed potatoes. Now I'm hungry again.
I would never give up potatoes. Yeah, I spoke with someone the other day who said, who's not following a plant-based diet at all, and he just said, "Oh, I've been quite naughty this month because I've had some things I probably shouldn't have. Yeah, I've had quite a lot of potatoes." And I just thought, "Oh, don't blame the potatoes. Yeah. That's the most amazing thing in the world. They've helped our civilization so much. So it's just don't give up potatoes. Don't blame the carbs."
There's a guy in Australia, a guy called Andrew, who has just published a book, actually, and it's called Spud Fit. And you and I both are contributors to that. Why don't you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, that was incredible. Yeah, you referred me to that, and Andrew got in touch. He's such a lovely guy. My goodness, and what an achievement! He managed to reverse and all kinds of things and get his kind of blood levels back to normal by eating potatoes for a whole year. And then he wanted to get our best potato recipes. So I contributed with my one of my favorites from growing up, which is a Finnish summer soup. And it just has lots of vegetables and then obviously potatoes. And you can either make it a clear version, or you can add like an almond milk or something to make it like a more milky version, because the original one had milk and butter and things, which is so unnecessary. You really don't need that for flavor. What about you? Yeah.
So my wife contributed an Italian recipe that comes through her family being Italian, and it's a pasta fagioli, but with potatoes. And don't normally have potatoes in there, but we do in our family, and so that's what she contributed. So yeah, you mentioned he was on potatoes for a year, and I don't think we've done justice to say that literally only potatoes. So Andrew is planning to. I can't remember if he invited me on his podcast there, so I was going to speak on his platform, but I might get him on this one to talk about his crazy journey and give the good old potato another pat on the back and not to criticize it. What if someone's not very good at cooking, and I am not very good at cooking? All of the meals that I've eaten over all these years to get me well, I would say, except the basic like 2-grain mixes and sweet potatoes and things, almost all of them were Melissa. So what if someone's not very good at cooking and they pick up your cookbook? Is there some places they can quickly get value from it?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually spoke with our PR company yesterday, and she was saying, because I said, I am aware that these recipes are very humble, and someone who's used to vegan cooking might think, oh well, they seem very humble indeed. Some of them are literally just 1 or 2 ingredients, and she just said, no, I think that's a really good thing, because a lot of these recipes are so easy to make, and a lot of people might be even intimidated by vegan or a plant-based diet because they don't quite know how to do it and what I have at home. So I would just say, if one of my favorite things to do is to just have a lot of spices in the house, because you can create and you can change the recipe so much. And if you have them all sitting there, it's not intimidating. You see a recipe that calls for onion powder and garlic powder, and you think, whoa, what is that? But if you've actually been to the shop and you looked at it before and you see, okay, well, I need to have onion powder and garlic powder, which comes back a lot. You might as well just have them on your shelf, and then you'll be like, okay, well, a teaspoon of that, I can do that. And you don't need a lot of ingredients. You don't need a lot of time. I certainly don't have a lot of time at the moment to cook, and I can make any of these. There are a few more kind of complicated recipes, like a gardener's pie, for example, which I know a lot of people, or some people, do want to have something more that takes a little bit longer, maybe at the weekend, to do and experiment with and things. So I wanted to include a couple of those as well. But I say mainly they're just super straightforward. Rice and beans with a lot of spices. That's pretty easy to make. So I don't worry about the recipes being difficult at all. That's not my style.
Awesome, fantastic. That's what we want to hear. I think that's what everyone wants to hear. Everyone's so busy. Everyone is just wanting to get the meal on the table, have it taste great, and not wake up in pain. I mean, that's all people want. And this book is the solution. So how do people get a copy? What do we need to do next to be able to get a book?
Yeah, so if you are in the UK or in Europe, it's on Amazon, and all you need to type in is A Kitchen Fairytale, and it comes up. Okay. For now, it's just on pre-order, because it actually only comes out on the 1st of November. I think they start sending them out on the 31st of October, but it comes out on the 1st of November. So just type that into Amazon. It's the same thing in the US and Canada. So North America, the US version of Amazon. We also have a publisher over there called Chelsea Green, and I presume they'll be getting it into bookshops and things. Here in the UK, it'll also be out in Waterstones and, well, all of the different bookshops. You can just go, you can ask them to order a copy if they don't have it in. In Australia, you can get it through the Book Depository, which for now is the best way to get it. We are currently looking at getting it translated into a few more languages. Wow. We've got some interest from other continents as well. So hopefully there'll be publishers who want to take it on over there. Wow. We can spread the love in South America and down in Africa as well. I think that's where we are at the moment. So yeah, Amazon is the best bet, and then bookshops.
Yes. Well, fantastic. And I'm looking forward to getting a copy myself. So I'll go onto the Book Depository whilst we're here in Australia. And you've kindly, generously given a couple of copies to some members of Paddison Program Support, which is where you hang out and where you and I chat from time to time. Not as much as we used to when you're in pain, but now just when we want to talk about books and things. So thank you. So you've given us a couple of copies that we can give away to some people who've moved their way through the reintroduction phase and are now looking to broaden their diet a bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. No, it's just amazing to be able to give something back, after everything that you guys have done. Just doing anything you can, I guess, to spread the word and help more people to see, because at some point I was thinking, who would this book actually be for? Would it be just Paddison program followers? But actually, when you look at the doctors that you mentioned earlier, Dr. McDougall and Dr. Clapper and all of those, they're using recipes just like these to reverse not only autoimmune conditions, but type 2 diabetes and heart conditions and all kinds of health problems. Because this is just how, I guess, it seems this is how we were just designed to eat, because it just helps.
It's really it's the diet for optimal health. That's what it is. I mean, if you're trying to target absolute maximum health, you go with a low-fat, no oil, plant-based whole food diet, and that's what this book is. So you're really, really hitting the target as to optimal human nutrition. And so I think that's, everyone should get a copy.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just going to say, I think also this could be potentially like a little soft landing for people who are just looking into a plant-based diet, because you still have a lot of your comfort meals. Like if you love your bolognese, there is that red lentil ragu, which is actually really awesome. You've just swapped the minced meat and the oils for cooking it in water and just adding these really hearty red lentils that taste delicious. Or, mashed potatoes with a mushroom sauce, which is just so
Oh
lovely.
my gosh. Potatoes again.
Yeah.
We mentioned the potatoes. I mustn't have had enough for dinner because I'm getting so hungry and it's 9:18 at night. Well, Iida, thank you so much. This has been super fun to talk about your book. It's inspiring for me to continue to work on my book. I can see, how rewarding this has been for you, and you haven't even had the book hit the shelves yet. So it's all about to get even more exciting. So congratulations on what you've achieved personally, and also what you've achieved to get this book out there. And I hope that everyone watching or listening to this will go out and get themselves a copy and get healthier and enjoy their meals.
Yes, that sounds amazing. Thanks, Clint. Thanks for having me.